Hello and welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Mandy, and here on this show, every week we interview some awesome people from around the country to bring you lifestyle tips, tricks, and more. And this week we have this.
I think a lot of the moves that I do in the ring, I used to do when I was a gymnast, and I love to do moves that, people kind of already do, but I put my own kind of Tiffy twist on it, if you will.
They're much more than just their larger than life stage personas. These are regular people who go through the same things we do, tragedy, triumph, resilience, perseverance, and things like that.
Really importantly, the PSAT and MSQT connects students to $300 million in scholarship opportunities.
All that and more on New Mexico Rising.
Do you ever feel your heart race for no reason? It's like sprinting while you're standing still. September is AFib Awareness Month, and a new study estimates more than 10.5 million Americans are living with atrial fibrillation, a condition that can raise the risk of stroke and heart failure if it's not managed. Joining me is Dr. Dedric Clark, a cardiac electrophysiologist, to break down what AFib is and why early treatment matters, and for the latest options to help people feel better and live safer. Welcome, Dr. Clark. How are you?
Good morning to you, and thank you for the opportunity to discuss such an important topic.
All right, let's start simple. What is atrial fibrillation and how common is it, and why do I struggle saying the word all the time?
Well, I can help you with two of the three. So let's just start off with what is atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation, or AFib, which is okay to say it just like that, is a cardiac arrhythmia. And what an arrhythmia is, basically, is when the electrical system of the heart is beating abnormally. Now, normally the upper chamber of your heart and then the lower chamber typically beat at a rate of 60 to 90 beats per minute when we're at rest. When a person flips into AFib, spontaneously the upper chamber is now beating 300 to 500 beats per minute, very chaotically. Now, as you alluded to, atrial fibrillation is the most common arrhythmia in the United States. It is the most common arrhythmia in the world. Over 10 million people in the United States are affected by atrial fibrillation. And it is estimated that in the next decade, that number can increase by up to 32%. 1 in 4 adults over the age of 40 will be impacted by atrial fibrillation at some point in their lifetime.
So why is early diagnosis and treatment so important for people with AFib?
So that's a great question. The reason is that atrial fibrillation is a progressive disease. Let me just talk real briefly about the symptoms of atrial fibrillation. Some of the symptoms of atrial fibrillation are fatigue, lightheadedness, dizziness, anxiety feeling. I feel my heart racing. I get short of breath when I exert myself. And some patients say that I feel like I'm just slowing down. Well, when left untreated, those symptoms will only propagate in advance, making it more difficult to reverse. Also, if left untreated, there are other clinical conditions that are very severe. Untreated atrial fibrillation is affiliated with a 5 times higher risk of heart failure, a 2.4 times higher risk of stroke, and a 2 times higher risk of sudden cardiac death, and is associated with higher risk of developing early dementia as well. So it is critical that detection, diagnosis, and treatment is implemented for all of our patients.
And what are today's treatment options? Like, walk us through some of the medications, lifestyle changes, and when procedures like catheter ablation comes into the picture.
Perfect. And so typically when somebody is diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, depending on their risk profile, they're put on a blood thinner and a medication to either control the rate, and sometimes we put them on medication to try to control the rhythm. Those are called antiarrhythmics. Now, for some patients who either cannot tolerate those medications, or there are side effects of the medications, or for some patients, unfortunately, even though they may tolerate the medication, their atrial fibrillation can progress in spite of that. There's a procedure called catheter ablation. Now, what a catheter ablation is a minimally invasive, safe, effective procedure in which the procedure is designed to isolate the electrical triggers that is triggering atrial fibrillation in the heart from the normal conduction system of the heart. And when performed, it allows the normal system to maintain what's called a normal rhythm, like we would all like to have. The procedure is typically done as an outpatient. And I would say that although all procedures have a risk affiliated with it, the risk is very low. I'm an electrophysiologist, and outpatients and your listeners should be comfortable talking with their primary physicians to discuss if catheter ablation is the right option for them.
And for anyone that wants to learn more or get next steps, where should they go?
So Johnson & Johnson is providing comprehensive patient resources to discuss all the things about atrial fibrillation. There's also a website called Get Smart About AFib. That's all one word, getsmartaboutafib.com. And on that website, not only can you get more information, you can also take a survey to see if you are a candidate for catheter ablation and be put in touch with a local electrophysiologist to discuss if catheter ablation is a good procedure for you.
Dr. Clark, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.
Pay, perks, and peace of mind. If you're changing roles or hiring in New Mexico, you're weighing all three. Dawn Fay from Robert Half is here to talk about the 2026 salary guide and practical tips for candidates and managers. Dawn, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
For viewers hearing about the 2026 salary guide for the first time, what are the key takeaways?
There are three key trends this year. First, total compensation is taking center stage in today's job market. Second, employees feel confident negotiating. 88% of professionals say they are willing to negotiate their compensation packages. And third, employers need in-demand skills, and 84% of them are willing to pay more to land that talent.
And when you say total compensation, what should people consider beyond salary, and why is that important?
Total compensation is beyond just a base salary. It includes bonuses, hybrid work options, perks and benefits, training and development opportunities. And that's important right now because that's what employees are seeking from an employer. So in order to attract top talent, employers need to come with solid total compensation packages to attract individuals to their organization.
And which non-monetary benefits are making the biggest difference for candidates and families here in New Mexico?
Well, no surprise, flexibility remains top of mind for individuals, but that's not all. People are also very interested in upskilling and advancing their skills in today's market, and they are looking for employers to help them do that, particularly in areas such as AI and machine learning. They want access to training and development in those areas.
And with a market this competitive, when does it make sense for a job seeker to negotiate pay, or if at all?
Well, it does make sense for people to negotiate, but they should be prepared to do so. It's really important for people to understand what their skills are worth in today's marketplace. Our salary guide is a great place for people to go to get that information. And keep in mind that they can negotiate more than just the salary. They can negotiate things such as flexible work options, perks and benefits, as well as learning and development opportunities. They just should be prepared.
And there's talk that higher pay draws people on site. What are you seeing, and how can viewers decide what works for them?
Well, research is showing that 66% of professionals would return to the office full time if the pay was right. Most are looking for an increase of at least 10% or more to come back to the office full time.
And for people at home who want more information, where should they go?
For more information, people can call us and visit us at roberthalf.com.
Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Have you ever wondered about the stories behind some of heavy metal's most legendary and sometimes misunderstood figures? From Randy Rhoads to Dimebag Darrell, Wendy O. Williams to Judas Priest on trial, these are tales of creativity, tragedy, and survival. Hulu's new docuseries Into the Void takes us behind the curtain of metal to reveal the raw and very human stories behind the music. So joining me are the creators of the series, Evan Husney and Jason Eisner. Welcome to the show, you two.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for having us.
All right, heavy metal has always carried a reputation for being extreme in sound and lifestyle. What made you want to explore the more human side of these artists in Into the Void?
Well, outside of, Jason and I growing up as huge metal fans, and any opportunity to make this your job is a total dream come true. Outside of our love and passion for, metal and wanting people to, appreciate the genre more, I think that metal is a very interesting world to examine because, as you said at the top of the show, it is a genre that is often, misunderstood, misrepresented, or even weaponized by other people to further their own agendas in many ways historically, which of course our show examines throughout the 80s and early 90s. Yeah, and so I think it was an opportunity for us to kind of create a series that goes beyond just their career trajectories, their albums, like the process of writing music and their hit songs, to really reveal the human side of all these figures and artists in this world, and to really show that they're much more than just their larger than life stage personas. These are regular people who go through the same things we do, tragedy, triumph, resilience, perseverance, and things like that. And it really gave us the opportunity to highlight that with this series, and any opportunity to get more people into the genre or to respect the genre, to understand it more, is definitely awesome and enough for me.
And one of the more striking episodes is about Judas Priest being put on trial, accused of influencing a tragedy. What is that moment, or any other moment within the series, that talk about the cultural battles metal has faced?
Well, in particular, sorry, I feel like I'm Jason, if you want to hop in, but for me, it's like I feel with that story in particular, it's very relevant to now. I mean, Judas Priest, that story and everything that happened in terms of really looking at sort of a conservative Christian movement in the 80s that was sort of looking at metal as this very evil thing that was corrupting youth. It was causing teenage delinquency. It was inspiring crimes and things like that. And they sort of weaponized the genre to further their own cause. And that really caused that spiraled off into the PMRC and other things and other forms of censorship with heavy metal for a long time. And I feel like there was sort of a prophecy in terms of what all of the metal artists of that era were fighting against, that we're sort of seeing coming into fruition now. And I think in terms of free speech and in terms of other things. So I really do feel like it's very prescient to look at these stories from the past and sort of look at what we can learn from them in terms of, the freedom of artistic expression, sort of, trying to be put under attack and trying to be, harnessed and taken away.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot for people to learn from our episode on Confess, who are a metal band from Iran who were persecuted for their music that spoke out about religion and the government. And they were actually arrested by the government for their music and were facing very serious jail time. And they had to flee their country to be able to pursue their art and their freedom of expression. And so I think that's definitely an episode I think that's going to feel very timely right now.
Exactly.
I want to thank you two for joining me today. All 8 episodes of Into the Void are now streaming on Hulu. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's a powerful look at the legends, the overlooked trailblazers, and the stories that continue to shape heavy metal culture today. I want to thank you two for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
When cold weather comes, the last thing anyone wants is a furnace that won't turn on or a leak right before guests arrive. That's why fall maintenance is so important. Joining us is Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angi, with simple steps to get homes ready for the season. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
What are the most important fall projects people should take care of now?
Well, the top of the list would be to have your furnace tuned up, your HVAC system. That way we're making sure that's in good working order. It's running efficiently, because your heating and cooling is actually the largest use of energy in your home. So making sure that's running efficiently is going to save you money every month on your heating and cooling bills. And then the next thing we should look to is clearing out our gutters. This should be done a couple of times a year to make sure that the water is flowing away from your house well, because water that pools around your foundation can be a real problem and can be an expensive repair if it causes damage. And then one of my favorite DIY tasks is to make sure that you've got enough weather stripping around your windows and doors. This is an inexpensive project, and an easy way to tell whether you need to put new weather stripping on is to take a lit candle and just walk around by your windows and doors. And if that flame flickers as you walk by, then you probably need more weather stripping. And that is something that it can be a great DIY weekend project. And then finally, I know we don't like to spend time in our attics, but, checking insulation on your house is important. And that attic insulation in the cooler weather helps to keep the warm air in. But the insulation also works during the warm weather to keep that cool air in as well. So making sure you have adequate insulation is important for your home.
And what are some common repair problems that show up during the holidays?
Well, during the holidays, the most common repair problem we see is actually plumbing issues. You have more people over, you're cooking more, you're just using your plumbing, quite frankly, more than normal. So making sure that you've got good habits during this time is going to be important. Not putting too many things down the drain in your kitchen sink, for example. The number one no-no is grease. You do not want to put grease down your drain. And then also don't overload your garbage disposal. I can speak from experience on this one. I put too much pasta in my garbage disposal one time and was blessed to be able to call the plumber to have them come out and replace my garbage disposal. So be sure that you are taking extra care and caution when you've got extra people at your house to make sure that you're not having that emergency bill during the holidays.
And your company, Angie, has been helping homeowners for many years. How's it grown and how has it changed?
Well, Angie started as a call-in service in Columbus, Ohio, where you could call in and I could give you the name of a good plumber. Now we serve across the U.S. and it's moved online in our digital age. So you can go online or you can go on our app and we can match you with top-rated pros. You can read reviews and also get pricing information and explore projects. So in case you're a new homeowner and not really sure what projects you want to tackle.
And what advice do you have to help families avoid big repair bills this winter?
Yeah, I think this is a really important one, is actually doing these maintenance projects and budgeting for maintenance is the thing that we see that is the most important to prevent those emergency expensive repairs down the road. And by doing that, it also reduces some stress because no one wants these unexpected repairs at any point that can come out of the blue.
And where can viewers go for more information?
You can go to Angi.com, ANGI.com.
Angie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Abby.
Every October, students across the country take the PSAT. It's more than just practice. It can connect students to scholarships, colleges, and even career ideas. Here to share why it's important is Priscilla Rodriguez from the College Board. Welcome, Priscilla.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What is the PSAT/NMSQT, and why should students care about it?
Well, we're talking at a really important time of year for students. As you mentioned, every October, students across the country, 10th and 11th graders, take a test called the PSAT/NMSQT. All those letters stand for Preliminary SAT, National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. And really, the long name is just 1 2-hour test through which we deliver students, their families, and their teachers a lot of information and a lot of opportunity. So because the test is taken about halfway through high school, it is a great kind of midpoint check-in on where students are on their reading, writing, and math skills, giving them a sense for what they've mastered and what they should focus on in the years ahead. It also can serve to help schools identify students who are well prepared to take AP or advanced placement classes. Those are those classes in high schools that often get students college credit, which can save them time and money later. And really importantly, the PSAT/NMSQT connects students to $300 million in scholarship opportunities. We know the cost of college is something that students and families think a lot about. This test is really a door opener to scholarship opportunities, including, importantly, the National Merit Scholarship and Recognition Program.
And what kind of information do students get back from their score reports?
Students get their scores and a score report back just a few weeks after they take the test. And on it, they're going to get their scores. It's 2 sections, so a reading, writing score and a math score. And those matter, of course, gives them a sense for how they did. But even more important are measures of how they did on the skills inside of those 2 sections. So what areas do they have the most room for improvement so they can go off and do targeted practice and preparation? Also on that score report, we connect them to a big set of resources that we offer at College Board for free to students called Big Future. There we have a college search tool helping them identify colleges that could be a great fit, a scholarship search tool helping connect them to the hundreds of millions of dollars that are out there, and career exploration tools helping them think about their skills, their interests, and what career paths could be a really good fit for them after they leave high school.
And how does taking the PSAT help students get ready for the SAT?
Taking the PSAT and MSQT is great practice for the SAT, and that's really on purpose. Students usually take the PSAT and MSQT 6 or 12 months before they would take the SAT. And we have designed it to really mirror the SAT. The same 2 sections, the same length, about 2 hours long, same kinds of questions, same skills. And so it's an earlier, lower stress opportunity to get familiar with what they're going to see on the SAT. And we're really committed to making sure that students feel prepared when they get there on test day, whether it's for the PSATs or the SAT. And so for that, we've developed a number of free practice resources used by millions of students every year. Some of them are full-length practice tests that students can access on the Blue Book testing app. That's where they're going to take the test on test day. They can get familiar with the app, the questions, and the timing. And then with our partners at Khan Academy, they can do skill-focused learning and practice. Say if their practice test showed them that they have room to improve in geometry, they can go over to Khan Academy and practice there with questions and video tutorials. So a real set of practice resources. We don't want students walking in feeling surprised by what's going to be on the test.
And can the PSAT also help with college or career planning?
Absolutely. So again, it comes at this really valuable moment about halfway through high school. And the score indicates where a student is at that point in time in their learning. They obviously have so much time and so much more potential. But from there, they can unlock these tools and these opportunities and actually start connecting with colleges and scholarship organizations who are looking for students like them. And they can engage with our career planning resources on Big Future and start connecting the dots between their skills, their interests, and career paths, including careers that are growing particularly quickly in their home state.
And where can students and families get more details?
So the PSAT and MSQT is given to students in their school, by their school. So if you're a parent of a 9th, 10th, or 11th grader, reach out to your school to find out if they're going to be offering it. And if you want more information on the test, how to practice, the scholarship opportunities I mentioned, all of that is available on psat.org.
Priscilla, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Ever wonder what it feels like to headline the biggest stage in sports entertainment? Yep, that's true. It's WrestleMania 42. It's on its way, and WWE's women champion Tiffany Stratton is leading the charge. From gymnastics star to WWE superstar, she's known for the prettiest moonsault ever and for ushering in what fans call the prettiest era ever. And we got to welcome her to the show. Tiffany, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Your path from the U.S. national gymnastics teams to WWE champion, it's pretty incredible. When you look back, what do you think gave you the confidence to kind of make that leap?
That's a really good question. My mom actually had a lot to do with me kind of going into wrestling. She saw Charlotte Flair on our TV screen. We were kind of scrolling through the channels, and she was like, you can totally do something like that. Like, that's totally like what you do in gymnastics right now. And I was like, yeah, okay, Mom, I'm going to the Olympics. Like, stop it. I have to focus on gymnastics. And then eventually, that dream died, and I moved on from gymnastics, and I did CrossFit, I did bodybuilding, and I kind of just wanted to do something that was a little bit more competitive. And that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this wrestling stuff out, because I saw it was starting to get popular. I saw it on my Instagram. I saw it on Facebook and stuff like that. So I signed up at my nearest pro wrestling school, and it happened to be at Mr. Kennedy's pro wrestling school. And my mom then had a contact who knew Greg Gagne and had reached out to him. And he agreed to train me for a little bit, and he helped me get my tryout with WWE. And then eventually I tried out, and they signed me a week later, and here I am 4 years later, the WWE Women's Champion. I wrestled Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. I beat Trish Stratus, Nia Jax. So it's been a very successful 4 years.
And you've got like a very unique style in the ring. How'd you shape your persona and in-ring moves that fans now connect with Tiffy time?
So I think a lot of the moves that I do in the ring, I used to do when I was a gymnast. And I love to do moves that, people kind of already do, but I put my own kind of Tiffy twist on it, if you will. And I try and do it better than anybody else has ever done it, or prettier, if you will. So like my moonsault, for instance, my swanton, stuff like that. I try and add like a little, flair onto it. And I also try and make it look brutal and aggressive at the same time. So we're pretty in the ring, but we're also aggressive.
And last year, WrestleMania 41 shattered records in Las Vegas. Now WrestleMania 42 is set to return to Allegiant Stadium. How does it feel knowing you'll be part of that history?
So last year was actually my first ever WrestleMania. And that whole process was so exciting for me. It was nerve-wracking, but for it to be in Las Vegas was just so fun for me, because I feel like Vegas is just an iconic state. Like, I feel like it's the sports entertainment capital of the world. Everyone talks about Las Vegas and how entertaining it is. So to have my first ever WrestleMania there, again, Charlotte Flair, was such a dream come true. And now that we get to go back to Las Vegas, it's almost like nostalgic for me, because Vegas holds a special place in my heart since it was my first WrestleMania. So I'm super excited to go back. I feel like Vegas has something for everybody. We're going to have SmackDown there. We're going to have Raw there. We're going to have NXT there. There's going to be after parties, watch parties. And if you ever get bored of the wrestling, because there's going to be a lot of wrestling going on, you can literally find something to do on the Strip. So it's going to be such a fun weekend.
And you've already had huge moments, winning Money in the Bank, cashing in, becoming champion. What's been your biggest, pinch me moment so far in WWE?
My biggest pinch me moment, I feel like, was probably my WrestleMania match. Either that or cashing in and winning the title. I felt like that whole day was so stressful and exhilarating and exciting and nerve-wracking. And when I did cash in and I came out and I thought about it, then I pulled it away, and then I hit Naomi with the briefcase, and then Bianca hit her finish, and then I pulled Bianca out. It was just like so many ups and downs, and I was like, oh my god, am I gonna do this? Am I not gonna do this? And then finally I cashed in and I hit my moonsault, and that was kind of like the moment where I was like, holy crap, I just became champion in my first year of being on SmackDown. So that was probably the biggest pinch me moment of my career.
Tiffany Stratton, thanks for joining me today. WrestleMania 42 takes over Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium on April 18th and 19th in 2026. I know you got time, but 2-day combo tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster, so don't miss your chance to be part of WWE's biggest event of the year. Tiffany, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in and checking out New Mexico Rising. If you want to be on our show, email us at newmexicorising@gmail.com or visit our website at newmexicorising.com. Be sure to follow us on social media. That's at New Mexico Rising on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Mexico Rising. That was our show, New Mexico Rising. You take care, and we'll see you next week.